I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, June the 22nd, brought to you in part by Vitalix. Keep flies out of your business. Vitalix has multiple options for controlling and repelling the fly population in your herd. Get the blue tub, go to Vitalix.com. What a mirage. You've heard me call the CME cattle futures a mirage many times. It promises this big price out there, and then the closer you get to it, it just starts evaporating, and that's what happens all the time. It's really happened here of late, but what a mirage. That was a insult used by one of my heroes, Bugs Bunny, back in the good old Looney Tune days. I don't know how our kids are going to turn out right without Looney Tunes. But what did that mean whenever he said that? Just calling somebody a mirage. Said they were not real. They didn't have anything to them. That's your CME cattle futures, especially your live cattle contract. You know, it's just pulled down and pulled down on this market. It's been an anchor on this rallying fat cattle market all spring long. June live cattle been hanging back $12 to $15 back of the market. For the most part all spring, and now as we're getting very, very close to fruition of that, it has pretty much stopped the rally and pulled back on the market so hard, and then finally on Wednesday here this week it had to go up a few cents. Oh yeah, well, we got to get things in line, we got to make those converge. It's almost sickening to watch. Your June live cattle ended the day on Wednesday at 177 1/4, which is kind of a typical basis to the south market, which is 180. But the northern market is 184 to 186 of late. But your big corporates, they love that basis right there, and that's all they're doing is feeding for the basis. I challenge the cattlemen's associations of this country, U.S. Cattlemen's Association, RCAF, and even the National Corporate Beef Association, NCBA, to do something about this contract. It's so important to this industry, and it's just like an anchor on it all the time, just dragging it down all the time. They've got to fix something. They've got to make it where the longs can demand delivery, where we would get some interest from maybe at least some regional packers. I'm sure the big four wouldn't get in there. They don't want to support the market at all. But you would probably get some regional packers in there, especially as we're starting to add some regional packers to be on the long side of that, because they know that they're buying cattle in the future. That's what a long hedge is. But all we have is short hedgers, just dragging the market down all the time. And I realize that we're near all-time record prices, but we got a right to. Guys are finally making some money here. They've been struggling for so long, but the corporates want to keep it like it is. You know, they buy commodity cattle as cheap as they can buy them, try to keep them alive, feed them as cheap as they can feed them, and they figure that, and they hedge them to their eyeballs. And then they figure, you know, even if they don't make any money on the cattle, there'll be a basis there to bail them out. And they don't really care if the thing, you know, converges there at the end of the contract or not. But it screws everybody else right down to the smallest cow-calf, man, because it's just an anchor on your market position all the time. And it's finally drug this rally here to a complete halt this spring. Very, very frustrated, but we're getting close to the end of the month here, and our punchy pick contest, we've received a lot of punchy picks. Well, we've received a lot of picks, I'll say. I haven't seen all of them, but I think there's room there for a punchy pick winner here between now and the end of the month, if you guys want to get one in. We've got pictures of a lot of cute kids, but that's not punchy. Sometimes it is, but for the most part, we're looking for punchy picks, guys. But the punchy pick contest, we'll award that grand prize the last day of the month. Grand prize will get a whole case of Farapeace. And if you guys haven't heard about Farapeace, haven't looked into it and see about what it is, this Farapeace is a revolutionary product. People are having all kinds of luck with it, especially on these real light calves that have just been pulled from their mamas. It's calming them cattle down. It's making the medicine work on them. It's keeping them from bawling and getting too excited. They start eating and they straighten right out. And just hearing all kinds of people that are having a lot of luck. Now, if you've got mean cattle, it's not going to make them pets. It doesn't work like that, but it will calm the cattle down. But you get a case of therapies, you get some really cool swag from Beaver Feed in Beaver, Oklahoma. And they've got some neat stuff, and so does Beaver County Stockyards, our partner there, and they've got some really cool stuff too. But you get quite a package there if you win that Punchy Pick promotion. And if you've got a cool Punchy Pick, email it to punchy@nationalbeefwire.com. Talk about your board on Wednesday. June live cattle futures up 12 cents. Okay, it was down $1.22 on Tuesday, and then back up 10% of that. You know, that's not really a lolly back and forth there, but 177.25, and I think they're happy with that $3 basis there. But August up a nickel, 169.75. It's hard to believe we're going to lose that much ground in our fat cattle market here, but July is going to be tough. Because when we get into July, we're in a bastard month. The traders can play around with that August live cattle and do whatever they want to with it. It's going to affect our cash market, and there's really nothing that we can do about it. It's very frustrating. Your back months on live cattle were down 10 cents to down 50. August feeder cattle down big because the grains were up so much, but August feeder cattle down 442. It was a long day on Wednesday. In fact, it was the longest daylight day of the whole year, but 227.72. We've lost so much ground on that, guys, and those of you that are worried about how much ground we've lost on that August feeder cattle, and you've got cattle to ship coming off grass later this summer, all I can tell you is LRPs, guys. You got to do them. September feeder cattle down 420 at 231.42. Your back months on feeder cattle down 290 to down 387. And it's all about your corn. The crop report come out earlier this week, and it was bullish for corn. They talked about the damage that the dry country has, or the drought has been in central and eastern, especially eastern corn belt there. The damage was about twice as bad as what they thought in the crop comparisons on the crop progress report there. But December corn up 31.25 cents just on Wednesday. 628.75 cents a bushel. We thought we were going to be in the $4 bushel range, and now all of a sudden we're back up in the mid $6 bushel range. That makes a big difference, guys, a huge difference, and it's enough to take your head off. The limits are not very limiting. November new crop beans up 34.25 cents at 13.77. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for September right during harvest up 37.5 cents. Wow, 8.72. Most everybody abandoned their fields. They either cut that wheat for wheat leads, or they made hay out of it, or they grazed it off. But the few guys that did make a crop out of it are darn sure getting paid for that hard red winter wheat. Talk about your fat cattle market. We did see significant trade on Wednesday. We've established our markets, and they're all lower. Iowa sold 7,000 head confirmed on Wednesday, 8,700 head for the week. The market on Wednesday was 180 to 186 in Iowa, mostly 184 to 186. I'm not sure what that 180 deal was there, but it's kind of making things look worse than what it was. But like I said, mostly 184 to 186. That's $4 to $5 lower. Your dress market 290, and not very many of those in Iowa. Nebraska 5,000 head, and that's all they've sold so far this week, was what they confirmed on Wednesday. And a live market there 182 to 185, similar to what Iowa had. And dress sales only at 284 in Nebraska, and not many dress sales, but what few dress sales we have seen this week are from $3 to $10 lower. Kansas 2,200 head, 14,500 head for the week, and that's unbelievable. They've moved that many cattle in Kansas. They moved most all of them late on Tuesday there, and we didn't get to see that until later. Most all the cattle have brought 180, but the range is from 178 to 186. Somebody out there is getting 186 in Kansas. I assume it's on some really good cattle going to a packer in the northern plains there, but the bulk of the cattle sold at 180, and that's $2 lower. Texas didn't have any confirmed sales on Wednesday, but 5,600 that we didn't know about late Tuesday, they were all at 180, $2 lower there. Kind of a frustrating fat cattle market. The fundamentals have not changed a bit. We're just as tight, if not tighter, on market ready supplies than we were a few weeks ago when we established new all-time highs, and your packers have gotten complete control of the market now. They've got all the leverage. Most of it has to do with the broken CME live cattle contract. Box beef cutout values were down hard again for the second day in a row, so packers aren't being able to cram as much product down the throats of their wholesalers at the big prices as what they would like to. But choice cuts down 266 at 334 and a quarter. Selects down 368 at 304 and a quarter. Slaughter running at a good pace so far this week, 378,000 through the first 3 days of the week. That's 4,000 more than last week, 3,000 more than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services. And you heard me talk earlier whenever I was giving you that feeder cattle quote for your CME feeder cattle contracts. And you know that you're going to be based off that on your grass yearlings, or it's going to be somewhere near there, and you're frustrated because we've lost all this ground. Livestock Risk Protection, LRPs, guys. All the really successful backgrounders that I know are using them on all the cattle that they turn out. You have to do it. It's a no-brainer. The government is subsidizing that. If that hurts your feelings, don't tell anybody about it, but go ahead and take it, because that's the only cheese check you're going to get in the cattle business if you're not row cropping, guys. But get a hold of them at Livestock Risk Services. That's Dakota Moss. He's got all these other agents here that you see listed, but they can answer your questions about that. They can tell you, give you a quote, and tell you how the whole deal works. Let's talk about feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Wednesday, sitting at 223.10. That was actually up 77 cents. On the cash index, up to date and current on Wednesday, had some smoky sales around, especially OKC West and El Reno, and actually your index went up as your feeder cattle contracts went down well over $4 a piece. But you know, and it frustrates me when people call the futures market the market. I get to hear it every day on the radio with Texas Farm Bureau broadcasting. They probably wouldn't know a fat steer or a feeder steer, the difference if one of them shit on their loafers. But they think that the futures market is the market. And it's not. But it does have an effect on it. But like I said, real-time index 223.10, up 77 cents compared to the end of Tuesday's trading. Don't forget, here on Thursday, Joplin Regional Stockyards is having a wean back special, one of their value-added sales. All the cattle there will be weaned 45 days plus, most of them 60 to 90 days, and a lot of grazing weights in there, guys. If you're interested, they'll have all the shots. Be some premier, top quality consignments there with reputation to them. So they're going to start at 9 o'clock, not early in the morning like usual. Start at 9 o'clock sharp, and it won't take very long to go through them because they'll sell in big bunches. You can view, bid those cattle, dvauction.com, or get a call in there to your favorite order buyer, and you can watch him buy them. I'm going to be heading out to Lexington, Kentucky on Thursday here, and going to be giving a presentation for Superior Ag Insurance at Harrodsburg, Kentucky, at the old Anderson Circle Farm. So I hope you guys got an invitation to that, know about it, coming to it. If not, you know those guys at Superior Ag Insurance, come on out. We're going to have a good time on Thursday night in Harrodsburg, Kentucky. Let's talk about your big sales on Wednesday. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 6,300 head with the light running calves that they had on Tuesday, but feeder steers mostly steady to firm, feeder heifers steady to $2 lower, light running calves were steady to weak. But I tell you what, if you look at the quotes out of OKC West and El Reno, and I realized they had some real reputation consignments there, but it's very impressive. Some of the highest prices that I've seen all spring comparatively, and they're going to be your top quotes for the day at the end of the report here. But you look at the National Beef Wire stick out sale of the day, and it was El Reno, Oklahoma. You look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central, and OKC West is a DV auction broadcaster there. We're glad to have them. But you look at your best tested weights, and this is for your Wednesday sale, which is be all feeder cattle. 587 head of 7-weight steers in El Reno, Oklahoma, averaged 762 with a weighted average price of $221.43. 897 head of 8-weight steers averaged 850 pounds at $220.80. 642 head of 9-weight steers in El Reno averaged 940 pounds at $207.73 on the weighted average, guys, and that includes the plainer cattle, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all of them. That's the market in the Southern Plains. Look at the heifers. 444 head of 6-weight heifers averaged 651 at $221.94. 600 head of 7-weight heifers averaged 740, the weighted average price of $206.79, and 618 head of 8-weight heifers averaged $840, weighted average price on those $199.63. The real impressive quotes are on some cattle weighing over 1,000. We don't have them on our automated market report, but I did pull them out, and I'm going to show them to you here at the end of the report. But talked to Todd Stevens there, Northeast Georgia Livestock. They had a board sale on Wednesday. Impressive quotes. He said the comparative loads on the board sale, and we have a board sale about every week, especially this time of year, they sold better this week than they did last week, and the board's been crashing. And he sold a load of 875-pound Holstein steers at $164, being Northeast Georgia, guys. Load of 800-pound really good black steers at $221.25, and he said they brought more this week than similar cattle did the last few weeks. And then 2 loads of a crossbred carrying some 925-pound Florida origin steers, $196.75. Said they had the same cattle on there last week. They bring $196.25. So, the market, I guess if you want to call the futures the market, they're lower. Cash market's still strong on feeders, but the way we've lost control of this fat cattle market, it's going to pull them down, guys. That's just the way it goes. Try to give you guys a little bit more replacement cow quotes. How about one out of Oakley, Kansas, that I got from a Feeder Flash gang member? It was Dispersal, 4- and 5-year-old red Angus cows with Charolais cross calves at their side, calves weighing about 2 1/4, and those and there's a whole dispersal of them. Those pairs bring $36.50 per pair. Some broken mouth cows off of them, same deal. Those pairs bring $29.75. Pretty smoky. How about Winter Livestock in Dodge City, Kansas? They sell 60 steers, weighed $895 at $224. But nothing compares to the top quote that I saw for Wednesday at your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of OKC West and El Reno, Oklahoma. The Speak Ranch had their big yearlings coming off the grass in the Arbuckles over there. That's the only mountain range in Oklahoma, but coming right off the grass. They sold 394 head of 1,011-pound steers, green grass steers, at $221, guys. Figure those up. But one that was maybe even higher was their bigger brothers. 152 head of them, weighed 1143 coming off grass at $196. Not much time to cheapen those up before they go to slaughter, guys. That's your Feeder Flash for Thursday.